I'm Janet Cresson. Welcome to Talk of the Town. For over 25 years, Center for Families has been a resource for parenting information and support for families right here in Madison. Joining me today is Julie Sheldon of Center for Families. Thanks for coming in today, Julie.
Thanks for having me.
And today, listen up, if you have kids, you might be really interested in an upcoming fundraising event that they have. Very unique to this area, in fact. Julie, this is called Sweet Dreams Bed Raffle. Tell me about this raffle.
So at Center for Families, we believe that each child deserves a safe, comfortable place to lay their head. So we came up with the Sweet Dreams Bed Raffle as a building competition / fundraiser to raise funds to go to our programming and support the prevention of child abuse.
Now, these aren't any beds. These are like theme beds. They're twin beds.
Twin size beds, yep. Themed beds, I mean, we've seen everything from this fire truck bed that we did last year. This year we've got two more beds coming, which we can talk about later.
Okay.
But yeah, they're themed beds. They're twin size beds, and some lucky child's going to walk away with one of these beds.
You know, I was looking at some images of themed children's beds, and they are really interesting and fun. I think I saw a tree fort. I saw a very elaborate one where the bed was a fold open kind of thing, like the drawbridge on a castle.
Oh, yep.
Really cool. Anyway,
Very
so
cool.
We'll talk a little bit more about this. This is an annual event for you folks?
So yeah, we started it last year. It was our inaugural year. We had the one bed, and it was a good success, and we know we want to do it again. Like I said, moving into this year, we've got a bed being built by the construction and remodeling students at Madison College, and another gentleman by the name of Jared Springer. He's making a bed that looks like a Jeep, which will be really cool.
So let's talk about folks that could be builders of these beds, because you need these folks to get involved.
Yes. We have space for probably up to 5 more beds. And what is really awesome about getting involved with this is there is no entry fee, which I think is pretty a pretty nice perk, really.
Sure, yeah.
And then all the expenses that go along with it are tax deductible. And then the beds will be on display during the Children's Expo. So there's a lot of great exposure. Of course, there'll be the Fan Favorite Award, so someone's going to walk away with that as well.
So the folks and we should mention, by the way, that the mattresses are donated by Verlo, so you don't even have to worry about the mattress part
Correct.
of getting this bed put together. Now, the folks that you're looking for, that could be builders, it could be kids from schools, it could be...
It's businesses that have some know-how in that regard. Service groups, individuals. The schools are great because they usually have some sort of woodworking program. And then people that just are designers as well. They could take a pre-existing bed and decorate it to have in this raffle as well.
So no hammer and nails necessary.
Which is good for someone like me, yes. Yes.
All right, so no entry fee. All the materials are tax deductible. And the mattresses are provided. That's so fantastic. Now, we know that the benefits are going to Center for Families, and you have so many programs. Just touch on lightly, I guess, the impact of these programs.
Sure. So at Center for Families, we do have 8 unique programs, and everything from the prevention of child abuse to early literacy to parental support. So we're serving over 5,000 families in Dane County. The more money we bring in, the more people we can serve. So
pretty
that's
incredible.
The goal. Yeah.
All right, well, before we leave, we want to talk about how people can actually see these beds if they're interested in getting a raffle ticket and possibly winning one of these beds.
That's right.
Where are they going to be and when?
So it is the weekend of March 5th and 6th, and they'll be at the Alliant Energy Center in the lobby. This is part of the Madison Kids Expo that Brava's putting on, and it also happens to be the home showcase for the Madison Area Builders Association. So if you go to either event, you'll see the beds in the lobby, and you can purchase a raffle ticket for as little as $5.
So you can buy a ticket there at those events on location. You can also buy them from Center for Families.
Yep, starting in February. We'll have the tickets ready in February, and people can contact me or just stop in our office to buy them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is a really unique idea. I love it. I hope it goes really well for you. If you have building skills or know someone that does that, this could be a great project. Check this out and get involved. This is Center for Families, and this is Julie Sheldon. And we'll be right back with more Talk of the Town right after this. And welcome back to Talk of the Town. Up next, we're talking anaplastology, fascinating work done by Gregory Guion here of Medical Art Prosthetics. Welcome to the program, Greg.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, thanks for coming back. This is amazing, life-changing work that Greg does, and today we're talking about orbital prosthetic restoration. So, Greg, what is an orbital prosthesis?
An orbital prosthesis is is a prosthetic device, obviously, that's used by people that need to restore their orbit. In other words, they've had a surgery or something. So an orbital prosthesis is a silicone device, and I have one here, if you can see that. Basically, it's a silicone piece that just restores the cavity of the orbit that's been removed.
So this is different than just an artificial eye.
Right. So most people think of an artificial eye, or what we call an ocular prosthesis, as the piece, the plastic piece that actually restores the eyeball itself.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, there's a lot of people that wear an artificial eye, but they have their eyelids. What an orbital prosthesis is the whole restoration, including the eye.
Okay, I see. So you're really filling that whole orbital cavity then.
Right.
What are
right.
some reasons that people need this device?
Well, I can show you some photographs that kind of illustrate some of the designs, but the main reasons that people end up needing a prosthesis is they've had a cancer, some sort of intraorbital tumor, mucormycosis, retinoblastoma, or trauma. They've been in an accident, or it could be a gunshot, any number of things.
Okay.
Cause the...
Well, a picture's worth 1,000 words here.
Right, right.
So did you want to flip through those now?
Yeah,
or?
and I just wanted to illustrate how different types of prostheses attach.
Sure, how
So
do
in
they
other words,
stay in place?
Right,
How-
exactly.
Okay.
So because this is something that a person has to manage every day. It's
Okay.
actually something that's put on and taken off each day. So one of the newer methods is the implant retained prosthesis, where somebody would actually have implants placed in the bone of their orbit, and then this would be the prosthesis, and then this would be the person wearing their prosthesis. And I'm getting a little glare there, so is that better? Okay, good.
So those metal things that we saw in the first one, were those magnetic or?
That's right, yeah,
Oh, okay.
exactly. I should have
All right.
mentioned that, yeah. Another method is to actually make a hollow prosthesis, so it's almost like a balloon that goes into the cavity, and then the person pops the prosthesis in place, okay? Another kind of an old-fashioned method, but very practical method, is for people that can't manage adhesive. We actually attach their prosthesis to their glasses, and then they can just put their glasses on, and their prosthesis is already perfectly placed.
Oh, that's
It makes a big difference for people that have a difficult time managing a prosthesis.
Sure.
Another method that I've devised, and I've used it many years, is if there's enough of a cavity, I can create an insert that allows the prosthesis to be popped in with a magnet, and then the outer portion of the prosthesis is actually attached to that. So it's another method to get away from adhesive, and it works out really well. This is a rather large need for a restoration. This person actually has a prosthesis that's multiple pieces, and I designed it to attach to their intraoral device, which is called an obturator. So in other words, the prosthesis actually attaches through the cavity down and attaches to their denture.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a very large restoration, but again, the woman can pop her prosthesis on in seconds, put her glasses on, and carry on a normal life.
Yeah.
So it makes a huge difference. It's just a close-up of the restoration. And then last but not least is simply if we use adhesive. And then ultimately the result is still something that blends in really nicely and that looks really natural.
Well, thank you for bringing those pictures. They
Mm-hmm.
really help illustrate the fascinating work that you do, and you can see how your artistic ability really plays a role. We're almost out of time.
Yeah.
Real briefly, does insurance pay for these?
They do. There are certain codes for orbital prosthetics, and they do pay for them.
And what would you advise families that are looking for maybe this sort of thing?
Well, I always advise that families look for evidence of the provider actually doing facial prosthetics as a specialty. In other words, people should be able to see photographs like this of before and after, and then they have a better idea of what to expect.
Absolutely. We are out of time, Greg. Thank you so much for coming in and for bringing this and showing us what you can do. It's truly
bet.
amazing. Fascinating.
you.
This is Gregory Guion. He's with Medical Art Prosthetics. Still more Talk of the Town coming up right after this. And welcome back to Talk of the Town. My next guests are co-founders of a real estate brokerage firm right here in Dane County. I have Charles and Trina Fiesel of Fiesel Firm. Thanks for coming in today, folks.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Before the cameras were rolling, we were talking about some property that you have purchased. It's in Cambridge and it's on Main Street. I'd love to talk about that today. Why Main Street and why Cambridge?
For Main Street, we're fighting over who to speak.
Yeah.
For Main Street, we kind of see the need of Main Street. It's kind of a dying era, but our desire is to take what was old and to revitalize it and make it new again and have a repurpose for it.
Okay. And when we were talking earlier, you mentioned that there's I don't know what the right words are, but a disaster capability or skill set that you have in your credentials.
Yeah, we started in real estate and construction and disasters. So we kind of had 3 companies in one. After Hurricane Katrina, we realized that to do the best job with the disasters, we needed another construction, and then sometimes the construction were not warranting the worth of the property. So we did that until 2012, and then in 2012 we focused our company more on revitalizing main streets, which then Cambridge specifically, there was 4 very large buildings, 3 of which needed a lot of construction work. So our disaster services were able to go in and do the remediation work. Then our construction company was able to do the actual construction in-house, and our real estate company, brokered the deals through them.
Wow, it's all kind of wrapped up into one right there.
Well, we're hoping there's synergy in there.
Yeah. So that's fantastic if you are trying to bring life back into some of these old buildings rather than just tearing down. Is that the way
Correct.
you're approaching that? Okay. And why Cambridge?
Coming into Cambridge, the community is really involved in itself, and years ago it had a lot of life, and trying to bring that back, and the community itself really wants to. So they're active in trying to make that happen, and that was neat to see.
And there are some big things already kind of happening.
Correct.
Tell me more about those.
Well, there's a vineyard coming in, and also just restaurants being revitalized. We're in the midst of operating a restaurant, Plow, and
so you've
business
opened
is coming.
Plow.
Yes.
Correct.
Is that correct? And that's in one of these older buildings that's been refurbished?
Yeah, we actually, I kind of feel it's the hub of the community. It's the old feed mill in Cambridge. I think it's 1840 or 1850s. And it was operational up until 1996, where it was renovated into a restaurant. Since then, it's been 8 or 9 different restaurants. And the community really got hit with the economics and just different things over the last few years. So we felt that food brings people together, and a good restaurant would be essential to the revitalization of all the other businesses and events that are happening there.
Well put, and it's really in the times these days to bring new life to old buildings, old things, and I love that. Let's talk about opportunities if there are investors or entrepreneurs that are interested in this venture.
Well, we've purchased 4 buildings, which is about a little over 30,000 square feet. They're 2 of the cornerstones, the old wood shed at the top of Main Street, and then at the bottom of the Main Street is the restaurant, the old feed mill. But then next to that, we also have a building that was the Prescott Mall. It was about 9,000 square feet, and we've renovated that building with a coffee house and ice cream shop in the middle of it. And there's an opportunity for retail, small vendors to start their businesses all around a multi-use building. And then upstairs, there's also an artisan's loft where there's a room for 7 artists to actually create the products and stuff that they would put downstairs.
Sounds like you have quite a vision. Sounds wonderful. We have about a little under a minute left. Is there anything more that you want to share with our viewers about this project?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, there's a lot of communities that we could have gone to, and we did. When I went to Cambridge, I kind of snuck into one of their town meetings, and the place was completely full. And it was very encouraging to see a community that wants to succeed. And a lot of people know Cambridge because of its history and stuff. I think it's the perfect place, and there's just so much happening there right now with multiple people doing so much from every direction you can imagine. So it's not just one event or one restaurant happening.
Well, thank you for sharing all of that. That sounds really interesting, and good luck with that project as you pursue your dream there and your vision.
Thank you.
So again, this is Charles and Trina Fiesel with Fiesel Firm. We'll be right back with more Talk of the Town right after this. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. Well, if you're looking for a night out, you may be interested in a play that's opening this weekend. It's at the Bartell Theater on East Mifflin Street, and it's called Rumors of Truth. And with me, I have the director and one of the actors in that play. Joining me is Sarah Whalen. She's the director, and Annie J. plays Brooklyn in this play. Thanks for joining me today, ladies.
Thank you for
having
inviting us.
So, Rumors of Truth. Sarah, what's it about?
Rumors of Truth is about three sisters who meet at the gravesite of their mother on what would have been her 50th birthday. She died young.
Oh my gosh. And you know, here's the flyer, and I have to say, I just saw this at Starbucks yesterday.
Oh, good.
Going to be talking about that.
I think I put it up at Starbucks last week.
Annie, who do you think should see this play?
Well, short answer is anyone who has a family. It's about the three sisters, as Sarah said, but it really could be any family, and you know, all unhappy families are different in their own special way. So everyone will see a little bit of themselves and a little bit, hopefully not of themselves, in this show.
I had to chuckle. I read that the playwright, Marcia Jablonski, who happens to be a Wisconsin native, had said that this was partly inspired by studies that show that the clearer that you remember something, the less chance it actually happened that way.
And everybody's viewpoint is different.
That's
Most
so
definitely.
true. So how does having sisters, or maybe not having sisters, influence your interpretation of this play?
Well, these sisters are quite different from mine, but I can see the dichotomy of the placement of where you are in the family, and that's universal.
And thus your viewpoint and how it differs from
Right.
a sibling.
Yeah.
And I don't have any sisters at all, but what I think is so relatable about this show is that, and I've talked to Sarah about this, that because there are three sisters, there's a lot of 2 against 1 happening.
Oh.
And it's not always the same 2 against the same 1. It changes quite a bit during the show. So it's like a lot of good friendships people have had, and it's a lot like a lot of other family dynamics. It doesn't have to be the sister dynamic.
Right.
That's really interesting. I see what you're saying. And it's also that fluid dynamic.
Very
Yes,
much.
yes.
Anytime you have an odd number of people, there's always a little bit of teaming up on
There's
either
an odd
side.
man out.
Right, frequently.
Well put, Sarah. What would you say has been the most challenging part of putting this show together?
Always the most challenging part of putting a show together is casting it, number one, and then getting our schedules to mesh so we can all rehearse at some point in the process.
Boy, just getting together with coffee is tough. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I know. Fortunately, there's only 3 people in this show, so that's a lot easier than 40.
You know, if we can back up a step to talking about family and sisters, isn't there a sisters' night out for this particular show?
There is, and I think you have the information there, but I think it's on Thursday.
Yes, Thursday.
It is. Thursday, February 4th.
February 4th.
So what's cool about this is biological sister or not,
Right.
Don't you get a reduced
Your brother
rate?
could be your sister.
Sure.
Or your best friend.
Sure. So you get a reduced
Yes,
rate.
and I can't say what that reduced rate is, but it is a reduced rate. I guess for some reason we can't say how much these things
That's
cost.
okay. And did I read correctly that you are also entered into some sort of raffle for a prize or something?
I have understood that is the case, but since I've been concentrating my efforts otherwise, I'm not familiar with that. But I hear that that's going to happen.
Okay, great. So Sisters Night Out on February 4th. Now this play has a mix of heavy and yet funny sort of material. Annie, do you have a favorite line from the play?
One of my favorite things about the show is that we talk about all these people who you never see in the show, one of whom is my character's daughter, Ruth, who we refer to frequently as the worst. And at one point I pull out a picture of her with Santa, and the line that my sisters say is, "She looks crazed." And then they say, "And that Santa doesn't look too pleased either." So that's my darling 12-year-old that we never see in the show.
That we never quite get to meet.
Yeah, or her husband. Or
Right.
Well, it sounds like a great show. Good luck to you on that. There are 8 of these shows if you'd like to catch one. And the first one is starting Friday on January 29th. Again, it's at Bartell Theater on East Mifflin Street. And thanks again. This is Sarah Whalen and Annie J. And the play is called Rumors of Truth. And that's it for Talk of the Town. Thanks to all of our guests. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.